Hello, I'm Whitney Donhauser, the Ronay Menschel Director and President of the Museum of the City of New York. Thank you all so much for joining us for Leading Tokyo Today, a conversation with Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koike. We are honored to bring you this conversation with Governor Koike. Joining us from Tokyo and Dr. Joshua Walker, President and CEO of Japan Society, right here in New York City. Japan Society is our co-presenter on this program. The Museum of the City of New York is located at the top of Manhattan's Museum Mile on Fifth Avenue and 104th Street. Founded nearly 100 years ago in 1923, our museum fosters understanding of the distinctive nature of urban life in this most influential metropolis. We engage visitors by celebrating, documenting, and interpreting New York City's endlessly rich past, present, and future. Tonight's program is the first in the museum's new series, Leading Cities Today, conversations exploring how urban leaders, local, national, and global, are facing the major challenges and opportunities of our current moment. As New York City and cities around the world recover from the COVID-19 pandemic and respond to our shared issues, including the climate crisis, gentrification, and the pressures of urbanization, we are inviting a broad spectrum of city leaders to share their visions for building safe, sustainable, and equitable futures for their fellow citizens. In just a few moments, Governor Koike will make some opening remarks, after which she will be joined by Dr. Joshua Walker to discuss the critical topics of sustainable recovery, green finances, women's empowerment, and of course, the upcoming Summer Games. I would like to thank Japan Society, particularly Tomoko Okuno, as well as the governor's team, particularly Karen Maruyama, for all of their generous help and effort in producing tonight's program. Leading Cities Today is made possible in part by the Altman Foundation. Closed caption will be provided for this program. I also want to invite you to the museum in person. We are open to the public 3 days a week, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Please check our website, mcny.org, for more information to see our full slate of upcoming summer programming. I would now like to introduce our speakers. Governor Yuriko Koike has been the governor of Tokyo since July 2016, and in July 2020, she was reelected to her second term. Prior to being elected to the post, she was active in national politics. As the first woman to serve as the Minister of Defense and the governor of Tokyo, she is paving the way for women to be more active in society. With a BA in sociology from Cairo University, she is fluent in Arabic as well as English. She was a prominent news anchor before entering politics. Joshua W. Walker, PhD, is president and CEO of Japan Society. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And now I would like to welcome Governor Koike to the screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Koike Yuriko, Governor of Tokyo. May I first thank Ms. Whitney Donhauser, President of Museum of the City of New York, and Dr. Joshua Walker, President of the Japan Society, for inviting me to speak about Leading Tokyo Today. And to the wonderful people of New York City, it is a great pleasure to meet you online today. Tokyo and New York have cultivated their friendship for over 6 decades, ever since we became sister cities in 1960. First, let me introduce a new initiative of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. In May, we launched an online magazine named Tokyo Updates to show the world the faces of Tokyo now and in the future. And as a feature article commemorating the launch of the website, Dr. Walker kindly contributed an article titled New York and Tokyo Global Cities as Essential Hubs for Our Collective Future. Thank you very much, Joshua. Thank you very much, Dr. Walker. My dear New Yorkers, I hope you will all visit Tokyo Updates and learn something new about my city, Tokyo. I hear that the museum is currently holding an exhibition on rising sea levels due to climate change. This is indeed significant as the world is now seeking economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic while responding to the climate crisis. As these emergencies threaten the sustainability of cities, the Tokyo metropolitan government is also taking initiatives for this sustainable recovery. While dealing flexibly to changes, we will build a resilient Tokyo that generates new value. In a session at the Leaders Summit on Climate held by President Biden in April, I gave a message as the leader of a city at the vanguard of climate change. And I had announced this January that Tokyo will, by 2030, reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% from year 2000 levels and increase the use of electricity generated by renewable sources to 50%. And Tokyo is a megacity, as you know, with 14 million people, and some 70% of our city's carbon emissions originate from buildings. In order to reduce such emissions from existing buildings, as one of our leading initiatives, Tokyo has been conducting an urban cap and trade program. This is the world's first program, which was launched in 2010. And in fiscal 2019, the covered facilities achieved reductions of as much as 27% compared to base year emissions. We have even been providing New York City with this expertise since 2019. My dear New Yorkers, as the climate crisis looms before us, we can't ignore this any longer. We must take action now. Under the banner of Time to Act, I'm rolling out a global movement to address climate change. Now, I have been engaged in a grand reform of Tokyo ever since I became the first woman to assume the office of Governor of Tokyo in 2016. People are the source of a city's vitality, and I have been devoting my energies to building a city full of diversity where everyone of all backgrounds can shine. The Olympic Games will start on 23rd of this month. We are firmly working with the stakeholders for the Olympic and Paralympic Games Tokyo 2020 so that they can be held safely. I look forward to welcoming Team USA and wish the athletes the best in their performance at the Games. The vision of the Tokyo 2020 Games is unity in diversity. Taking the opportunity of the Games, we wish to build communities that are even more inclusive and diverse, and upon this legacy, forge an even better future. We will also showcase a new Olympic and Paralympic Games model for a sustainable recovery and pass this on to the following host cities of Paris and Los Angeles. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Governor Koike, and thank you, President Donhauser, for the introduction. We're just excited to have a conversation of such a timely nature. It's always a pleasure to be back with Governor Koike, who's a longtime friend. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you, President Donhauser and the Museum of the City of New York for the opportunity to collaborate on this exciting program. So let me start, Governor Koike. Everybody wants to talk about the Olympics, but let me do that at the end. You talked about climate change and its global effect and gaining a sense of urgency, acting now. And you talked about your efforts of announcing sustainable recovery. Could you talk more about this and how Tokyo is making efforts to tackle the climate crisis, and how is Tokyo making efforts to tackle under your leadership?
Certainly. I'm calling for a sustainable recovery from the standpoint that recovery from the pandemic should not be a return to the life before COVID, but should serve as the opportunity to build a sustainable and resilient society. In particular, with a strong awareness that the threat of climate change puts the sustainability of cities at risk. I'm calling for a global movement for climate action under the slogan of, as you said, time to act. And first on our agenda are sustainable buildings, as I told you. And as I mentioned just now, we are providing New York City with expertise on the urban cap and trade program. Along with this program, Tokyo is implementing a system that makes it mandatory for more than 30,000 small and medium-sized facilities to submit energy data and other such reports. And these initiatives are drawing much interest from other cities, primarily from within Asia. And since 2019, Tokyo has also been providing Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, with policy support concerning measures for buildings. And we plan to continue sharing our experiences and expertise with other cities to contribute to the world's countermeasures for reduction of emissions from buildings. And let me talk about the hydrogen. The green hydrogen, which is produced from renewable energy. The world has begun moving in the direction of making the CO2-free hydrogen the backbone for realization of a decarbonized society. And since 2014, Tokyo has been working for the diffusion of commercial hydrogen stations and the fuel cell buses. And during the Tokyo 2020 Games, we plan to use carbon-free hydrogen in some of the facilities of the Olympic and Paralympic Village District. And in addition, with the aim to spread the use of zero-emission vehicles in Tokyo, we raised the ambitious goal of phasing out the sales of new gasoline-only passenger cars by 2030 and motorcycles by 2035. It's a very challenging agenda.
Absolutely. I can imagine that. Moving from climate change, globally, green finance is actually attracting a lot of attention.
Right.
Could you share some of Tokyo's initiatives to be kind of a green hub in that way?
Yes, that's a very good point. And the trade-off between the economy and the environment is no longer feasible. And holding the keys here is finance. And large expectations are especially held on the green finance market, as you said. And Tokyo is advancing the Tokyo Green Finance Initiative, which is our strategic approach for the growth of green finance. And by simultaneously advancing the greening of our urban systems and the financial system, we will enhance the lives of our residents and realize the sustainable growth of the economy. And concrete measures include disclosure of information such as ESG efforts taken by companies and mechanisms to boost the participation of small and medium-sized enterprises in the green finance market. And we are scheduled to soon release a draft of a new plan that reflects these strategic initiatives. I will send it to you soon. By advancing measures based on this plan, we will establish Tokyo as a global financial city that ranks alongside New York and London.
Well, we eagerly await that. I think as someone who grew up in Japan and is in New York, I can't wait to see that global hub come together. Let me ask you, as Tokyo's first female governor, as you mentioned, since 2016, you've been a strong supporter of women's empowerment, promoting the active participation of women in the political arena, in business, and in the workforce more broadly. What positive outcomes have you seen through Tokyo's initiatives, and what have you championed for women in Tokyo?
And in order to realize a society that is livable for all, it is so essential that many women participate in the decision-making process. So I want Tokyo to become a role model for Japanese society in terms of gender equality. And my first task as the governor of Tokyo, after taking office as governor, was to create a better environment for working women so that they are not forced to choose between work and childcare. And for example, in order to empower women, I work to build up child daycare services, such as increasing daycare centers and caregivers. This effort significantly reduced the number of children wait-listed for daycare. The Tokyo metropolitan government itself is also actively engaged in empowering female employees with about 20% of management positions in our organization held by women. And this percentage is higher than the averages of the national government and private companies. But of course, we will increase it even more. And at this month, Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly election, about 1/3 of the seats were won by women. This is the highest percentage to date for our assembly and is higher than that of the National Diet or any other prefectural assembly. I hope that the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and the Metropolitan Assembly will serve as good role models for Japan. We also have a support program for women entrepreneurs in Tokyo called APT, Apt Women, which sends them to various women entrepreneur support organizations such as New York's WNYC, or has them learn about these groups' pioneering initiatives through online exchange. And we are working in this way to raise entrepreneurs who will change the future of Japan or the world, and women who will become role models for society. On top of such efforts, last year, Tokyo, together with 5 cities, including Los Angeles, established Change, the world's first international city network in the pursuit of gender equality. And through this network, we share best practices with cities overseas and will also help close the world's gender gap. I would like to invite New York as well.
Well, we have a new mayor coming to New York very soon, so we'll have to have you come visit next time. So yes. The question on everyone's mind here is, as we get ready for the Olympics, only a couple days away, and the Paralympic Games just around the corner, we've all been watching as Tokyo and Japan have been getting diligently aware for the first games in the middle of the COVID pandemic and the concerns. Japan has pledged to deliver a safe and secure Olympics. The athletes are now there. How is Tokyo preparing to ensure a safe and secure game?
Sure. The Olympic Games will start on the 23rd of this month, very soon. We have held test events at each competition venue, and at these events, we completed the run-through of a range of infection prevention measures, including having all athletes take a PCR test and checking the body temperature of everyone entering the venue. And we are firmly working with the IOC, organizing committee, and all stakeholders, and devote all of our efforts to delivering a safe and secure games. And as the first city to host the Summer Paralympic Games a second time, Tokyo aims to convey the appeal of parasports to as many people as possible. And in addition, the Tokyo 2020 Games are set to be the most gender-balanced games in history, with women accounting for almost 49% of the athletes. Did you know that? And a record number of female athletes is also expected to compete in the Paralympic Games. So we aim to remove all forms of barriers so that games truly embody the unity in diversity vision. The Olympic and Paralympic Games are also a festival of culture. During the Games, we will promote the appeal of Tokyo, and including the city's diverse arts and culture, and our initiatives aim at realizing a hydrogen society.
Great, thank you. We're all going to be watching and cheering you on. Lastly, do you have a final message for those of us in New York? And of course, we hope you can come visit very soon to be able to bring all the expertise and the energy you've shown today.
Well, thank you very much, Joshua. To realize a sustainable and resilient society brimming with diversity and inclusion, actions and cooperation as cities on the front line are critical. And it is none other than the real bonds between people that form the basis for city-to-city ties and cooperation. So I'm sure that these leading cities today will connect the people of cities around the world, including New York City, and serve as a bridge toward a future where all people shine. And since taking office as governor of Tokyo, it has been my hope to make an official visit to New York City. I tried many times, but next time it will be realized for sure. When the pandemic is over, I very much look forward to going to New York and meeting all of you. And thank you for your kind attention. ありがとうございました。
So thank you so much, Governor Koike, for this insightful conversation. We look forward to seeing you in person next time and continuing to learn from you on the front lines as you kick off this inaugural series with the Museum of the City as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Koike and Dr. Walker, for such a thought-provoking exchange. And I want to thank all of you very much for tuning in. We hope to see you again here soon at the Museum of the City of New York, either online or in person. Thank you.